welcome back to The Explainer. Okay, so if you're around 10 years old, or hey, just 10 at heart, and you love a good mystery, you are exactly where you need to be. Today, we're exploring a really fascinating piece of writing called The Beauty of Christlikeness, and we're going to be talking about a hidden treasure. But we aren't talking about gold coins buried in some pirate chest. No, we're talking about a hidden treasure that literally gives you a real-life superpower you can use every single day. We're about to uncover the mystery of the hidden treasure and the tamed fire.
Okay, let's dive into this. What is the most expensive thing you can possibly wear? Like, really think about it for a second. Are you picturing a massive, heavy gold chain? Or maybe a king's crown just totally covered in sparkling diamonds? Maybe the absolute coolest, most expensive, limited edition pair of sneakers in the world? You know, people spend so much time and money trying to look good and impress others with their outfits. But what if I told you that the absolute most valuable thing you could ever wear is completely invisible?
While pulling straight from our source text, the answer is an invisible gem, specifically a meek and quiet spirit. I know, right? It doesn't exactly sound like a piece of jewelry. But the author explains that God himself declares this specific invisible gem to be of great price. It has incredible, immeasurable value. And wearing this invisible gem actually makes us more like Christ. But to really get why this is such a huge deal, we have to unpack what that word meek actually means.
Now, I gotta clear something up. A lot of people, maybe even some of your friends, hear the word meek and their brain automatically goes to weak. They think it just means being shy or, letting people walk all over you. But our source makes it perfectly clear that is totally wrong. Meekness is definitely not weakness. Actually, scratch that. It's the exact opposite. It's the incredible strength and power to keep your temper under perfect control. Think of it like having this invisible super shield around your emotions. It takes massive strength to be truly meek.
Moving right along to Section 1, the invisible precious gem.
So now that we know what meekness really is, that it's this awesome quiet strength, let's look closer at why the author describes this meek and quiet spirit as an ornament. Usually an ornament is like a beautiful piece of jewelry or a decoration you wear so everyone can see it. But as the text tells us, the ornament we wear is in his sight of great price. This is an absolutely crucial point to remember. Sometimes we can worry a whole lot about what other kids at school think of our clothes, our backpack, or our shoes. But this text suggests that if you wear this invisible spiritual gem, this calm, controlled spirit, you are highly esteemed by the Most High. No matter what anyone else thinks of your outfit, wearing this makes you incredibly valuable in God's eyes. It's the ultimate upgrade to anything you could ever put on.
Which brings us to Section 2, the spark of anger. Let's be totally real for a second and shift gears, because keeping that invisible gem shiny, it's not always easy. Have you ever had a spark of anger just set off a massive fire in your brain? Think about it. Picture a time when a brother or sister grabs your favorite toy without asking, or someone says something really mean to you at recess. You feel that heat rise up in your chest, right? Well, the text actually warns us about this. It says that to every single soul, things will come to provoke us and stir up anger. It is guaranteed to happen. You will be tested for sure.
When we get pushed like that, our first instinct is usually to just snap back, right? To yell some hasty, angry words. And this brilliantly illustrates a really surprising point from the source. When we use those hasty words, they actually bruise and wound the speaker's soul the deepest. It hurts you way more than the person you're yelling at. But on the flip side, a quiet spirit calms that fire right down and brings total peace to the situation.
The author paints a really vivid picture of this explosive feeling. The text says, "Unholy anger is a spark which will set on fire untamed human nature." Imagine dropping a single tiny lit match into a giant pile of bone-dry leaves. Whoosh, right? So the crucial takeaway here is that this anger shouldn't be strengthened or fed. Instead, the text says it needs to be bridled. Think of how a rider uses a bridle to control a massive, super powerful horse. You have to bridle that anger, otherwise that tiny spark burns everything up and causes some massive damage. Our source even goes so far as to call this out-of-control feeling the demon of passion. It happens when an unpleasant spirit completely takes over an unguarded heart. Now, don't go picturing some spooky cartoon monster with horns or sharp claws. Just imagine it strictly as a metaphor. Picture a wicked-faced human wearing a priest's tunic with angel wings. It's basically a tricky, misleading disguise trying to sneak right into your heart to steal away your peace and your quiet spirit.
Let's jump into Section 3, calming the ruffled spirit.
So how do we actually fight off that tricky disguise? How do we put out that fire before it totally burns up our day? Let's move to and see how this builds your superpower in action, straight from the text, broken down into 3 steps. Step 1, it calms the ruffled spirit. When you feel all spiky and mad inside, this gem just smooths you right out. Step 2, it controls the tongue. It acts like a giant pause button so you don't blurt out those hasty, hurtful words that end up bruising your own soul. And step 3, it brings the whole being into subjection to God. It essentially puts you back in the driver's seat, completely guided by goodness, instead of being dragged around by your anger.
Now here is a punchy, absolutely crucial rule from the text we need to look at. Rather suffer wrong than do wrong. The author points out that God requires every one of his followers to live peaceably with all men as much as humanly possible. And what that means is, even if someone else is being totally unfair to you, the absolute secret to this superpower is choosing to keep your cool. It is way better to let someone else be wrong than to lose your temper and do something wrong yourself. That right there takes true strength.
And that brings us to our final part, Section 4, Wearing the Christ-like Ornament. We've covered what this invisible gem is and exactly how to use it to extinguish those dangerous anger fires. But what about the payoff? When you actually manage to wear this gem of a quiet spirit, the benefits are phenomenal. First up, you have favor with God. Second, you also have favor with men, meaning other people will actually respect and appreciate how you handle yourself. Third, you bear the sign of true discipleship, proving that you are a real follower of Christ. And finally, the text says it fills your life with the fragrance of love toward God and your fellow humans. Striving for this Christ-likeness totally transforms you, and it seriously blesses everyone around you. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I'm going to leave you with one massive question to chew on today. When that inevitable spark of anger strikes, and remember, the text guarantees us that it will happen, will you choose to wear the precious gem of a quiet spirit? Will you test out your brand new superpower of self-control instead of letting the fire burn? The next time you feel provoked, I challenge you to keep that invisible gem shining bright. Thanks so much for joining me as we explored this amazing text today, and keep learning.